Hello there, I'm Artistic Gamer 7, and welcome back to some more speed building on this big, ginormous house. If you have missed the previous parts, there is a link down in the description below to the playlist, as well as at the end of the video if for some reason you want to wait till the end. But also, the very first video I go into really in-depth explaining on why I'm doing so many parts on this build. Quickly, a big thing was like just sort of wanting to take my time with it, things going on in my life, and also just the fact that this is just such a huge build. So yeah, I am creating this lovely big giant mansion for basically going to be like a little mini series where I do it's going to be almost like a reality show type thing where I stick a bunch of Sims in this house and just see what chaos ensues. The Sims I will be putting into this house are actually going to be the Sims that I am creating over on the series that's running alongside this one, which is my D&D Sims, where I'm taking my D&D characters that I've come up with backstories to, like, you know, all their information and stuff like that, class and race and all those different things, D&D, all the D&D lovely info, and I try to recreate them in Sims. I have actually drawn the characters out. They are not colored in, so technically my Sims are the first time to get sort of an idea of all the colors actually coming together visually. But in my head, I have, for the most part, ideas of what things are colored for them and stuff like that. Obviously, with how Sims are, there's a few things here and there that I had to slightly adjust just because I couldn't find a style of something in the color I needed. But anyway, that's a whole another story, but, you know, that is what's going on with that Create a Sim series. If you want to go check out that series, or, you know, you've been watching it, but you feel like you've missed a few of the characters, there's a link down in the description below for that playlist as well, so definitely go check it out so that you can see the characters who will eventually be living in this house. Thanks to MCC, I'm going to be allowing the maximum number of members in the household to be higher than 8. I think the characters I'm making is within the 30-some range. It's not going over 40. I just don't remember exactly right now. I want to say it's somewhere around 32, 35 characters that are going into this house. If I'm not mistaken, I haven't actually recently counted and looked at that, but I know it's within the 30s. It's not going over 40s. So yeah, trying to create this whole entire mansion for thinking of the fact that there's going to be anywhere from 30-some to 40-some Sims in this house at any given time, because any friends or anything like that they make along the way that particularly may try to come and visit them, or neighbors or something like that, you know, gotta account for those type of situations. So there's a lot of bathrooms, there's a lot of seatings. I will mention that in almost every single video. And as you can tell, right now we're actually working on a bathroom. So this is probably the 11th, 100th bathroom in this build. Not really, but I mean, realistically speaking, I went on like a big spew on like a video or two ago with my voiceover and stuff for this series about having so many bathrooms, basically just trying to take into account if for some reason all the Sims decide they need to either use the bathroom, take a shower, take a bath, use the sink for whatever purposes, usually something like cleaning dishes. Instead of using the kitchen sink, they go to the bathroom sink. But you know what? Sims are strange. They sometimes have a mind of their own that makes absolutely no sense, but, you know, whatever. We gotta account for that. So there's gonna be people occupying these bathrooms, potentially a lot at the same time, especially if they, like, I really doubt that my Sims are gonna do this, but if my Sims somehow get on, like, a schedule, or, like, of everyone waking up nearly around the same time, then yeah, that's gonna be a situation that is going to be an issue. But hopefully there is enough bathrooms for all these Sims to actually enjoy. Now, I am using CC in this build because, one, this build was partially for me to just have fun and build and just, you know, not really worry about time limits or restrictions or anything like that. I just wanted to enjoy building and not really be too stressed out about certain things. So CC is still left in here, which when I have CC in there also just makes the time of the build go a little bit longer because I have a lot more stuff to look at, especially when it comes to like decorations. So yeah, but I still will upload this house onto the gallery. Obviously you're gonna have to check the box so that you can see it because it's going to be with custom content. So enable the custom content so that you can actually see the build. But even if you don't have the CC, or, you know, some people I know probably have some of the same CC, and some people can probably easily replace the CC with stuff with their own CC, or just with stuff within the game. So if you want to download this ginormous build, like if you want to put a whole bunch of Sims into a lot at one time and sort of do like what I'm doing and just see what chaos happens, you can feel free to download this build. So definitely I will put it up there just in case anyone is interested in it. Now, I don't list my CC. Any custom content creators that list all the CC that they use, particularly for builds. For Sims, I can feel like that would be somewhat easier. Like, it'd be a lot easier for me to figure out which CC I used and make a list for it. But for builds, I would have to specifically go through my CC folder at first and decide which CC I was going to use for the build before I even built the build, which is not a way that I can easily... my brain can easily function when it comes to builds. I like playing around and experimenting and trying different stuff, see which one works out. But that is the only way I possibly think I could do it, is limiting myself to certain CC and then listing it from there, or listing collections. So like if I download a certain custom content creator's collection of furniture, then I could say I use stuff from this collection. But ultimately, people who actually list the CC out, you all are freaking amazing, and I don't know how y'all do it because I could not do it. But that being said, I am willing to try to help people find any custom content that I have. So I sometimes forget to mention it in some of my builds and my Create a Sims, and even in my Let's Plays, because I do use CC in my Let's Plays. So if you ever see a video of mine, whatever it is Sims related, and there is CC involved, if there is a particular CC item that you really want, or a few particular items, definitely feel free to comment down below, like put a time code and be like, I really like this mirror at like 8 minutes and 9 seconds or whatever. I really like that hair that you're using on that Sim. Can you tell me where you got it from? Or anything like that. Like, if it's on my LPs, like, you know, say the character's name, like, and the shirt. Like, I really like the outfit that they're wearing when they go to bed. Can you tell me where you got that outfit? Like, definitely, don't hesitate to ask. I will definitely try my best to actually figure out which item that is and where I got it from. With the things of the Sims 4 tray importer, it's sometimes can actually make it a little bit easier for me to narrow down CC and then go from there. I can tell you that a big chunk of my CC comes from the Sims resource, or searching on Simsdom, or with Patreon. So those are like my big sources of finding CC, but I will say sometimes I type in random things in Google search, and sometimes get onto Tumblr as well. So that is sometimes a place that I wind up. A lot of times when I do a Google search, or even when I'm going through Tumblr or Pinterest, that one also pops up a lot. They send me to other sites. Again, a lot of times it is the Sims resource, or it is Simsdom. Mod the Sims pops up sometimes, but a lot of times Mod the Sims is... I don't get a lot of, like, custom content from there. I get more of, like, actual mods. So, you know, I think, like, Wonderful Whims, you can find it on there, and things like that. Where is Wonderful Whims on there? I don't know. One of my mods makes me go through Mod the Sims first every single time when I go to update it, and I can't remember which one that is. Part of me feels like it is Wonderful Whims, but maybe I am wrong on that note. But anyway... But yeah, those are like some of the really common ones that I come across a lot. But yeah, just definitely feel free to ask me, and even with mods and stuff like that. A lot of the mods I use, I feel like, are pretty common mods, but there may be a few here and there that maybe aren't. If you hear me talking about it, and you haven't heard me say where I got it from, I have occasionally said where I've gotten some mods and stuff like that in the past. But if you're not sure which mod it is, and you're not sure where to find it, again, feel free to ask, because I definitely don't mind trying to help you find that piece of CEC, or at least directing you to the main site. If I can find a direct link to it, or directly where to get it, I will definitely give you that. I will try to narrow down your search and make it as easy for you as possible, so feel free to comment that down below. Anyway, back to the video here. I love to ramble, and that is something that you'll get used to on these voiceovers. I will talk about the build, and I will talk about the sim, but I also tend to sometimes get on a rambling spree. I will say with my speed builds, I do that more often than with my creative sims. But yeah, anyway, that is just a thing. So we are continuing on with some more bathrooms. We got the one bathroom already done. It has like a bluish feel going on to it, and now we're going with more of blacks and grays. We got a darker bathroom going on here, and I purposely tried to make every single bathroom not look the same for multiple reasons. If we're randomly swapping around a whole bunch trying to figure out where a sim is, then we know if it's that certain bathroom. Oh, they're down on the 4th floor. Oh, they're down, well, the 4th floor basement. Oh, they're down on the blah blah blah. But yeah, anyway, we are now about ready to start. I'm fixing up a little issues that I found in the roof here, because obviously there is some things not being covered. So there is some holes in the ceiling, which we don't really want holes in the ceiling. So I do fix that up, but we are actually finally going to get started on the bedrooms. So from this point on, except for the occasional bathroom that is connected to the bedrooms, which I can't remember if I feel like I forgot to do one of the bathrooms, which it may even be Nita's, until like I started working on other people's like rooms, and then I was like, wait, I gotta go back and finish Nita's bathroom. But I really feel like it is Nita's bathroom. But anyway, so yeah, we are getting to the point where we're actually doing the bedrooms, which to me was the part that I was looking forward to the most, which is partially the reason why I put it towards the end, is just because, you know, the fun part, putting it at the end here. But this is where I get to go and take all of these characters and take their personality, their individual personalities, and use that to base a room off of, and it's been so much fun. All these rooms, yeah, there's going to be some rooms that have a few things in common, but all of these rooms have been, like, quite different, and they have different features and unique aspects to them. I really love doing them. I'm actually still working on the bedrooms. I forget who the very last one I worked on was, but I have quite a few of them done. Still got a few more to go. I think my next one actually is a character who hasn't even got a creative sim yet, so I'm not going to say who that is just yet, because he is towards the end of the characters, so I definitely know his video has not went up yet, and I'm not going to really talk too much about him just yet, because gotta have time for his video to get up and go. But obviously this is me building in the background, so you won't see his room build until after a while. Hopefully he is already up by then. I feel like there's a few of the characters that their room may get decorated and show on this before their character goes up, because what I did to try to keep some of the D&D aspect into it, I actually basically, for each character, rolled some dice, and basically whoever had the higher numbers got first pick. So I made a list. I have like a list of the characters on who gets first pick of the rooms. I did automatically give Nita a bump up. She got a little edge, a little freebie, because she was my very first character I ever created. So there's a little bit more of a meaning behind her, like just a little, almost not necessarily nostalgia, because it's not like very long. I feel like nostalgia has to be like from like years, but you get what I'm saying. She was the very first one I ever created, and you know, had a lot of fun creating her, and you know, so she gets a little special treatment here. But after that, it's all random roll of the dice. So we are making Nita. As a reminder, Nita is a snow elf, which technically would fall under the seasonal elf, which is Eldrin elf. I think that's how it's pronounced. I personally like the thought process of elves being more, like any seasonal type elves being more stricter towards a certain environment. I feel like, and like that's sort of how I would flavor it. Everyone can flavor it however they want. The Eldarin elves are supposed to be able to change with the seasons, though. So like they'll have a few aspects of them a little bit different for each season: summer, fall, winter, and spring. But I really always liked the snow elves. You know, in Skyrim there actually is like a little story with snow elves. I don't remember the whole story fully, but I do know they are mostly gone. Pretty much extinct. But I still like a lot of the stories and a lot of things with snow elves. I do like them, so I'm a little partial to snow elves, and I like the thought behind it. But also my thought process is if they end up living in an area like, for instance, Nita, she grew up in a snowy forest area, so she constantly was in the snow growing up. Her family, like generations, were mostly in snow growing up. I feel like if most of your family has always been winter snow elf, then it would be hard to kick that out of your blood system. So that's sort of how I would go with it. Like, they've just naturally been so much in the snow, and like their family history has constantly been in snow winter environments type situation, that it's just sort of ingrained into the DNA. Part of me sort of wants to make an elf that, or make elves that are technically Eldarin elves, but go along with sort of the seasons. The only thing is, I will say, with my visual of like a wood elf would look almost too springy. That is just, I don't know, that's my go-to with a wood elf, is that they have like representation to me would look the same as how I would do a spring elf almost. But, you know, there's ways that I could probably move it around and actually make an elf that was strictly supposed to be spring versus the wood elves. But I am like slowly making more and more characters as time goes on. I have so many more characters than the characters that are making it in this create sim. If anyone's interested in wanting to see like a part 2 or a series 2, like I did with my Pokemon create sim, I did a series 2. I will probably eventually do a series 3. I've thought about doing a series 2 on my flower sims. Let me know down in the comments below if that's something you would be interested in. But also let me know if you would like to see other D&D characters of mine that I've made after these ones that make it through this time around. So if you'd like to see a series 2 of my D&D characters for a create sim, let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, I've made so many more D&D characters since then. And I, like, my boyfriend, like, joke, like, he sort of was like, elves are almost basically, like, humans. Like, he says they get used too much, and they're, like, basically basic in some ways, and I sort of get it. Elves are very much similar to humans for a lot of reasons, like, especially at least look-wise, other than, like, their facial structure and their ears and stuff. But of course it also depends on what race of elves you're talking about. But anyway, I get where he's coming from, but I love elves. Elves are amazing. So just to sort of irritate him, I have decided that I am going to be making at least one elf for every race that is currently existing in D&D and has potentially existed in previous versions of D&D, because I know I've come across one or two elves that actually I don't think are technically races in 5e, but they were races in previous ones. But I made characters based off of those anyway. I don't know if either one of them... Well, I know one of them. One of them is the guy that I'm talking about, that I'm about to create his room. He is one of these elf classes that were from a previous version of D&D, but... And I think the girl that I'm referring to was from the same iteration that his line of elves were from. But, like, the same version. Anyway. And I don't know if her video would have posted yet, because hers would be before his. So at this point, with how I'm doing the voiceovers and stuff like that, I don't know if she has showed up just yet. But yeah, I'm pretty determined on making one of each elf, and recently they released Astral Elf, and I already had a character that was leaning on the side of being like an elf in a way, and actually fits the whole description of the Astral Elf. So probably already got that one. Probably good to go. So, I'm gonna have all the elves. Maybe I'll take a group shot eventually once I make them all into Sims, and I'll just have all my elf Sims, in a group shot together. But anyway, back to this room. So yeah, Nita is a snow elf, but like I had mentioned, it was like a foresty snow elf, so I try to bring a lot of wood tones in there, and a lot of times, like when it comes to the snowier area, like the snowier type areas, the woods there tend to be actually pretty dark. And also just sort of her style of stuff, I feel like she would pull in some of those darker wood tones. So that's why I have a lot of darker wood tones along with these white and light blue walling and stuff like that. I'm trying to bring in the dark wood aspect of it. And Nita's colors that she wears tend to be purples and blacks and whites. And then her skin tone is like a light blue. So I was using those in creating it. I was trying to give it a foresty vibe. She grew up near a forest and things like that. Well, technically she grew up in the forest because of her backstory and stuff like that. She sort of raised herself inside of a snowy forest. What is a tundra is a snowy plain, isn't it? I can't remember. I'm pretty sure a tundra is like an open plain that is snow covered most of the time. I don't remember what a forest that is covered mostly the snow time is referred to. I feel like there is a name for it, but I am forgetting at this point. But anyway, it's snow. A lot of snow, a lot of forest. That's what it is. So yeah, definitely trying to give it a woodsy vibe. But also she does have Zuzu, so obviously I had to incorporate some cat things here. Nita also, you know, she's a big survivor. She's constantly, you know, she was trying to make herself strong. I did try to use some decorations I think I got a few arrows when it comes to decorations because she is a ranger, so she does use a bow and arrow. So I do try to take some of that stuff into account. I eventually go around trying to find little items to decorate her house. Again, using a lot of woods. I use some candles that are more like an old school natural lighting versus, you know, ceiling lights, but she does still actually have the ceiling lights. I also use some of these lanterns that have some of the greenery and the flowers in them just to still try to give it that naturey vibe, because a big majority of her life she actually lived in the woods. So that was the whole aspect of it, was like trying to bring the woods into a modern, not necessarily modern setting, but you know, indoor setting that has like some nice accommodations. Obviously it's not the same thing she had when she was actually living in the woods, but you know, she got so used to living in the woods, she wanted to bring a little bit of that into her room as sort of some comfort, some familiarity and things like that. And I don't think I personally would decorate my room like that. Like if I had like all the money in the world and freedom to do whatever I wanted, I don't think I would decorate my room like this, but I still love how it turned out. Like, I really like how her room did ultimately turn out. I really felt like it had a nice vibe that fit Nita's personality. It also incorporated Zuzu in, but yeah, so lots of foresty tones. The antlers, partially, again, a survival thing. She would have had to, you know, hunt for herself and Zuzu. Zuzu helped her hunt, though, so, you know. But just keeping in mind that, you know, she had to fight for her survival for a big chunk of her life. So I did try to use things like that to bring in, like, swords and arrows and stuff like that. Sadly, I wish I had, like, a bow and arrow, like, that was served as a decoration on the wall, but I don't in CC, and obviously also not in, game stuff, because they don't have anything like that. That would be cool if, like, we somehow got incorporated in with, like, a fantasy or medieval pack with this. Like, there's a world that's been mostly cut off from the other worlds, and now it's opened up, so it still has a lot of the old school aspects to it, and, like, you know, they keep a lot of the traditional vibes of their old school ways. And, you know, maybe it could be like one of those worlds that can serve as a residential and a vacation world. So, you know, Sims who want to experience like how things were done in slightly more older days, you know, that's where they can go. I would love a fantasy pack so much. And especially if it incorporated, like, fairies or something, or, you know, elves. I don't know how they would do elves in Sims Full. I do actually have a series that I did in the past where I brought up, I'd actually done a few tweets and things like that, and people suggested occults that they may have liked to see in Sims. I did one that was, like, things that I really didn't see to be, like, a way to make it as a full playable occult, but maybe they could still incorporate it in somehow, or like just fun little things. I don't expect most of them to happen. Only one of them that I did actually eventually happen, and that was witches, but obviously they call them spellcasters. I also technically have one video where I talk about the occults that are already in the game and how I think about them and stuff like that, like the vampires, the aliens, the mermaids, so on and so forth. So if you want to go check that out, it is my Sims 4 Occult Discussions. There is a playlist for it, so if you wanted to go see that, I actually do have one on elves with how they've done the occults in the past. You know, it'd be fun if they could find a way to actually, if they would actually legit find a way to make elves different from, like, your normal Sims and stuff like that. I would love for elves to be there, because I like elves. I like my pointy-eared creatures. So, definitely would love to actually see elves, but I feel like fairies would have so much of a higher chance of getting in. One, we've had fairies before. Two, they could be a lot more distinguished from just normal Sims, like your normal human Sims. So yeah. But I also did one on werewolves, and werewolves and fairies are the two that I did that I feel like have the highest chance of making it in Sims 4, but I'm still not sure. But I had incorporated other cults that had been in the past. So genies have a video, imaginary friends have a video. I can't remember if there's any others. I feel like there is one other one that maybe was from a past game that I talked about. I don't know if I did one on robots and stuff like that, because I think robots came out before I ever did one, or I at least briefly mentioned them. Maybe I did do one. No, I can't remember. I don't think I did one on robots. I would like to see cyborgs. Like people that have robotic parts to them, but they're still partially people too. Would like to really see that. But anyway, back to this video here. This is my ramblings continue. So what I'm doing now is something that sometimes I do cut out. I decided not to cut it out in this one because I didn't do it as full-fledged as I sometimes do. It got to a point where I really needed to decorate the room, but I didn't want to just keep piecing the pieces here and there together, trying to just grab a piece, put it somewhere, and then grab a piece later on and realize that I would rather it be in the spot that I put a previous item. So sometimes I do this, and I did this a lot actually with this build, where I just go through, especially with CC. I have so much CC. So I went through, like, the catalog just trying to find stuff that I think Nita would use to decorate a room. There's, like, snowflakes. There's, like, some tree stuff. There's some cats. There's obviously a deer there that is, like, you know, foresty and stuff like that. I got a chest. There's a lot of this people that I put some sort of chest or storage device in just because, you know, technically in D&D, you know, you probably have somewhere where you're storing items, a bag of holding, a chest at your home base, whatever it is. So that's part of the reason why I have that sitting there, and now you should be seeing me start to put the items actually somewhere. A lot of times I use, a lot of people have the shelves, like the custom content, like little red shelf that sits. At least it used to be the red shelf. I don't know if it's still red or not. And I was going to use that at one point, but I keep forgetting to download it. And I've just started sticking with this method of just raising it up to try to personally sit it there. But I also a lot of times will set an object on a table. And you'll see me doing it with the snowflakes. And I'll set an object on a table to make it snap to the height of the table, because sometimes it's off a little bit, especially with, like, certain shelves and things like that, and especially if you use Alt to free place the shelf on the wall. So yeah, I use that to I place them, and then I make sure I fill up all the spots, and then I take one off the table, put one back in its place so the slot is filled, and then just Alt move it wherever I want. Probably a longer process than it needs to be, but so that it doesn't auto lock on to any of the spots, and I get it to the height that I want it at for surely. So I do that a lot of times if that's ever something you want to do for your builds. But the video is going to be ending here soon. So we will be continuing on with bedrooms from now on. Again, I don't think I did Nita's bathroom until a little bit later, so you'll see that a little bit later because I think I forgot to do her bathroom right after her bedroom. But yeah, hope you like how Nita's bedroom turned out. I hope you like how the other bathrooms looked and how the video, like how the build is coming along. I hope you're looking forward to future characters' rooms. I know Drax's room is next. I think it's a character named Valletta. I'm not sure if Valletta's video has went up yet, so other than saying her name, I'm not going to go into too many details about her, just in case. And then I think it's Serena's after that, if I'm remembering the order correctly. I don't have my little paper close by that actually has the order, but I think those are, I know Drax is definitely the next one, and I think those two are the next to fall in line. So hopefully you're looking forward to those, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, comment, all that lovely YouTube goodiness, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. But until then, bye bye!